one. Now inside of the Elementor page builder, and I'm going to be showing you how to build forms called contact us forms, and how to build forms in such a way that if you want to collect any kind of information on WordPress, you are going to do it very easy. And in this case, we are going to be using the form widget from Elementor. So I'm just going to go ahead and search for form. And once I search for form, these are different forms. These are add-on forms from different plugins that are installed, which are premium plugins. But I'm going to be using the most basic form found in Elementor. But before I do that, let me try to see something here. If I drag this and drop, let me see what it looks like. You see that we don't have any. Okay, it has actually developed a section for us. So that's another trick that you can do, which I did not show in the earlier section. So you can just drag the widget and drop it on this, and it's definitely going to create a single section for you in relation to that widget. So this is the custom widget. This is how it actually looks like, and there's a lot of modifications that you can do to this widget to make it nice. So the first thing we're going to be doing now is looking at the different kind of elements or the kind of data that you can collect for our Elementor form. So I'm just going to go ahead now, and this is a new form. I'm just going to name it maybe new form 1. And now looking at this, we have the first, which is name, and when we click on this, it's definitely supposed to open. Let me click on this and see. Okay, now we have name, and we see the different settings that we can give to it. So the type of information we're collecting in this field is it an email, is it a URL, is it a this? So these are the different types of information that we can collect. It's very easy to understand. So if you want someone to upload a file, you want someone to input a password, you want a captcha, but this captcha feature, if you have been visiting websites, you see it is used to test to protect robots from visiting sites. So they actually ask you to input a captcha. But there's definitely an API. I think there's an API key and a plugin that you need to install for you to be able to use this. This is the only, I think these last 4 are the only, no, these 3 here, captcha 1, captcha and captcha 3, and then honeypot. I don't regularly use that here, but the rest of the things now are already very common. So you want somebody to select from various options, to enter a number, to enter a date, to enter time. So we're just going to walk through that snappy and really fast. So the first one is name. Okay, the second is email, and on email now you're going to discover that the type of tech information we're going to collect is an email. So if someone enters a number there, this field is going to reject it. So the next thing here, we have the label. You're going to put the label like you want it to show as email. If I actually change it here to Cyril, you're going to see that the label is going to change. So you can always decide your label that you want to put, but by default it's always good to use the same information. So we have email there. So you can actually set this field to be required or non-required. So when a field is actually required, it means that if someone is filling that form, especially in cases where you have a very long form, if someone is filling that form, if the person doesn't fill that particular field, like if the person doesn't put information to that particular field, the form cannot be submitted. So you can always set required to fields that you want the user to fill. So like the name, you cannot expect someone to submit a form without submitting the name. So definitely in the field for the name, you will definitely turn it on to be required. Same as for password, you cannot expect someone to be signing up on a website without filling up the password field. So definitely that kind of form is different, but in most of the cases you need to know some crucial fields that you must put as field. So what you need to do, if you want to add another item here, let's say I want to collect phone number, I'm just going to click on add item. And once I add item here, I'm going to change the type of information to tell. So I'm collecting phone number, and I'm going to give it a label. I can give label it WhatsApp. Let's say WhatsApp number. Yes, let's say WhatsApp number. And definitely when someone reaches that field, you see that the person is going to know that he or she needs to put in the WhatsApp number. And another thing is that you can reposition it by just using drag and drop. So if I want it to be directly below the email field, I'm going to do it this way. So that's how it looks like, and you have actually added the field there, and you can go ahead and duplicate any field that you want the person to enter multiple times, and that's just how you play around with it. And we have some advanced settings here. We have the button settings. So with the button settings, you can actually decide how this button should look like. So if you want a small button, okay, let's say extra small, and I'm going to align it to center. As you can see, I've taken an extra small button and I've aligned it to center. As you can see, the button is smaller than what it was previously. The next thing you can do here is a step. So if you want a form, let's say you want a form that is going to be into stages, that's where this one is going to come into play. Let's say you want a form that people need to fill. When you fill the first information, it goes to the next stage to display another form that you need to fill. That's what you have to do with this section. And then actions after fill. So actions after fill is going to vary depending. So you can set the action after fill in such a way that when someone submits that form, the person receives an email. And you can also set in such a way that after submitting that form, the person receives, maybe the person just sees some text display on the screen that your form has been submitted. So all that is going to vary with you. You can just set it from here, collect submissions, email, and there's a lot of other things that you can add. So email to webhook. So this one is going to depend when you are building some advanced websites, and then you get to say maybe you have a Mailchimp account, you can link it there in such a way that when someone submits that form, the email, the number is going to add to that funnel for you to be able to contact them. So we have the email settings here, and the email that the person is going to receive. Let's say we have put actions after submit here, we have added an email. What you need to do is that in this email section now, you customize the email that the person is going to receive here. So we can now type the message that thank you for submission, your information has been received, this and that. So that's the use of this section. So aside of that, we have these advanced options here that just gives you the form ID. You can set the form ID so that you use the form multiple times, and that's just it. So let's get into now customizing this form to actually make it to something nice looking. So the first thing I'm going to do is the width of this form is so big. I can actually, let me try to reduce it to see if I can have a smaller form. And if I take from this edge here, can I be able to reduce? Okay, now the width of our form has reduced, and I want to see if I can reduce from this edge also. It only reduces from this edge. So let's say we'll reduce the width of the form this way. Let me reduce it again. The next thing that you can do to this form, or let me try to see if I can reduce the width completely from, okay, let me go to the advanced tab and see the width. Okay, this way you can also increase and reduce the width of the form. So you can actually just use this value here. All you need to do is go to advanced tab and you choose layout. So if I choose layout here now, I can reduce it this way, and let me try to center the form. So when you click on this align here, it's going to take the form to the center. So you see that we have reduced the width of our form and we have aligned it to center. So let me bring this width down a bit. And then the next thing I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be adding a background color to this form. So what I'm going to do now is, once I'm in style, let me go to style and I see if I can add a background color. So okay, let me go to the advanced tab. I don't see the option here to add a background color. Let me go to advanced tab and see where we have background. So I'm going to be trying to add a background color to this. So once I click on background here, I can now choose a color. Let's say something red. Oh, the red doesn't really look good. Let me try to take something blue. Or most of the time your form doesn't really need to have a very loud color, so I can just keep this here and I bring it down. And what I'm going to do to differentiate it is, let me go to margin and do. So you just need to follow me as I'm going on step by step. So if I go now to margin, to advanced tab here, and I try to set a margin, let me give it every side a margin of 30 and see what it looks like. So you see that the margin is actually separating it from this other edge of the form. Okay, I'm going to keep the margin at 0 and try to give it a padding. Let me see what it looks like. Let me give it a padding of 20. Okay, now it looks better. So you see the values have actually stepped in the information. You see the fields and the name and the so we see that all the fields have actually stepped into the center and the form actually looks better this way. And most of the times when I'm working on forms, I like to go to the mobile view to make it to see if it's actually responsive. So if I go now to mobile, we're going to see that it is not responsive. The form doesn't really look good on mobile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand it. I'm going to try to increase it to make sure that it also looks good on mobile. And most of the time when it is okay on mobile, customizing it on the desktop is not going to be a problem. And we know that majority of users are always using websites, visiting websites, using platforms on a mobile phone. So it's very important to pay attention to your mobile view of the website. So once it is this way, another thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a background. Let me click on this section. I want to add something like a drop down or a background shadow. So let me try to go this way. Let me take it to advanced, and once I'm on advanced here now, okay, let me click here, or let me take the form and then I go to advanced. So once I'm on advanced, I have background. So I'll not go to background now. where I have to go to is borders. So let me go and give it a border. Okay, the border type, I'm just going to give it a color solid, and I'm going to give that border, let's say, let me try to give it a blue kind of color, and I'm going to make the blue to be very light. And then the border width, it is too thick, I'm just going to give it a border width of 2. So once I've given it that border, I'm going to give it another border radius now. Let me say 10. So once it's at 10 now, I'm going to give it a box shadow. The box shadow is very important to actually differentiate it from what you have behind. This color is very thick here, so I'm going to drop it down so that our box shadow is not very hard. So once I drop it down now, I think this is, let me try to see vertical. Increase the vertical. Okay, have it this way. Let me try to update it, and then I look at the desktop view. So this is what we have now as our form. We can go ahead and do a lot of changes here. Let me try to work on the button. So you see that the button is actually something ash, or ash, then when you hover on it, it actually gives you this blue color. So let me try to play around with that button. I love playing around with buttons. So let me go down to buttons, and once I'm on buttons, I'm going to give the background color of this button to be something blue. Okay, we have that black there, I'll give it to be blue. So I want to show you the favorite customization that I love giving to my buttons. So I'm going to give it a border type of, so a border type of solid, and I'm going to give it a width of maybe say 2. Okay, no, I'm not going to give it a solid border type here. When I'm going to give it when I want to hover on it. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the border radius. By default it is something bigger, so I want to put it at maybe say 10. So it has now changed the format of the button. And then now I'm going to go over to hover, and I want such that when they hover on this, the background color should be white. When you hover on this, I should give it the background color of white. I don't know why it is not taking effect. Oh, I've had too much of the F's. Okay, now yes, when you hover on it, it's going to be white. So I want the text color when I hover on it to have something blue. So I'm just going to give the text color a blue. And then now, oh, let me go over to the button again. Let me click on this. Then I don't want to edit the form. I'm just doing this so that you can apply it in any other section. So I go to the hover section, and I'm going to give it a border radius of 10, and the border color, where do I say the border color? So as you can see now, when you hover on it, the text color is blue and the background color is white. So there has to be a section for me to set the border color. Okay, the border radius is this, and this text animation. What I need to do is, okay, let me set the border type here of solid, so that I can now give a border color here of blue when you hover on it. Perfect. So if I hover on it now, you see we have a blue border, and the text inside is in white, is in blue, and we have a white background. So that's it to editing a button. You can go ahead and add a lot of these, and this shows how you can actually set up your contact form. Also, you just also need to just add a title above it. So let's say this is our contact form. What I need to do is just come over here, and I can now insert a title above here, and I say contact us. So if I just go ahead, I can edit from this way, and edit this, say contact us. So we already have a contact us form. You can still do this for collecting information about a particular competition or anything that you are doing. You can go ahead and change this color, and that's it with building a form and using all the custom widgets for Elementor forms. So I think that you have understood this, and if you go and practice adding to other features, implement it, you can go ahead, reduce this shadow, change the colors there, do whatever you want to do, and definitely that's it with building forms with Elementor. So see you in the next section.